Okay, so remember how the Sebastian Rogers police response was really bad?
Yes.
We got another one, boys. We got another one.
They don't stop coming, and they
do not stop
They don't
coming.
stop coming.
This one actually might be worse, too.
So this is going to be really interesting because I haven't.
Yeah, you don't know anything.
Yeah, I haven't listened to you talk about it yet
Yeah.
because I had some paperwork that I had to handle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yours is a funny story. You did a silly, goofy thing.
I didn't do the silly goofy
That's true.
thing. The person who was responsible for the paperwork did a silly goofy thing. Not their fault.
Aiden committed federal crimes.
I committed no such crimes.
Aiden aided and abetted federal crimes.
Is it aiding and abetting if you don't know it and then when you find out you fix it?
I don't know.
No,
honestly.
it's not.
Yeah, I'm not in charge.
Yeah. No, there was a paperwork problem for paperwork. There was a paperwork
princess.
problem for one of the things I own. I won't tell you what. And I had to solve that this weekend, which involved me driving 3 hours away.
Keep in mind,
Overnight.
there are a number of things he has that require paperwork, including boats and cars.
Yeah.
And it was the funniest one it could have possibly.
It was literally the funniest thing I could have possibly been. Yeah.
So yeah, it's big oopsie on that one.
Yep. But handled. All is well.
Mm-hmm.
The other person whose paper I had apparently is some form of Nepo baby of somebody who owns like a lumber yard up there. And they have like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of like vintage milling equipment that they just don't use.
How did you find that part out?
Because the guy who is responsible for the paperwork, he was like, oh yeah, I sell a lot to this guy. Don't know how he keeps buying things because he doesn't have a job. And we were like, what? And he's like, yeah, his parents own this thing, and he has all of this equipment that he does. Like, I had him mill some stuff for me, and he charged me like $50 for like 24 pieces of like bar top table for getting milled, like oak. And he was like, yeah, so that I got a steal for that. And yeah, really weird.
This guy might just be some sort of forest deity. There's just some sort of fairy living up in Scranton.
Pretty much.
Anyway,
Oh, I didn't realize this was Scranton.
well, it's not. It's
north of
further north
Scranton.
than
Oh,
Scranton.
okay, got
Basically
it.
New York.
There's a reason I was up there for an overnighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway,
Yeah, so what's the deal with Chance?
yeah, so Chance Englebert.
How recent was this?
Well, that's the fun part. He went missing in 2019. They found his bones in October.
Ah, so this is a this is not a case closed. It's there's no good ending here.
No. So this case, for those of you who haven't seen the video that we posted on Friday, Chance Englebert went missing in 2019. They found his body in 2025, and that kind of rewrote the entire script on what supposedly happened to him. The police insisted for 6 years. He must have fallen in the river.
Where was this?
This was in Gering, Nebraska,
Wow.
right next to Scottsbluff National Monument.
Interesting.
Yes. So here's the thing. This is we've done a lot of true crime cases. We've done a lot of missing 411 cases. This just it went like that. This is both the things at once. Going into it, I didn't know very much other than that this guy had disappeared near this monument and was found at this monument. And I was like, oh, probably a pretty standard missing 411 case, right? Probably just a guy who went for a hike in the wrong place at the wrong time and made stupid decisions, right? Well, sort of, in a way.
He was known to have made at least one really glaring
Yes.
stupid life decision.
How old was Chance?
He was 25.
Okay, so he's not a child.
No. So that was the thing, is I haven't looked at many cases of people whose bodies were found in a national park who did not go missing in that national park.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep. He went missing from Gering,
Mm-hmm.
and they found him in the national monument.
What's like the drive time mileage between the two?
Like 4 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's an hour away.
No. It's the fact that the side of the park he was found on doesn't have trails.
Mm.
He was found off trail, obviously, but it's that in order to get where he got, and this is going to be fun because we can tell him all the fun parts of the story and
Yeah.
watch him try and connect the dots. In order to get where he got
Mm-hmm.
by going through a trail,
Mm-hmm.
you'd basically have to walk a few miles west and then a few miles back east following the trails up the bluff. He's found on the northeast side. There are no trails there, and yet he is found to have fallen somewhere between 130 and 290 feet.
Are there roads nearby?
Yes, but they're not up there. And they're not, well, they're like service roads.
Yeah, I'm assuming he was dumped there.
See, that's the thing, is you would think that, and his bones were, his body had decomposed to the point, obviously, over 6 years where they could not determine much about a cause of death, other than that he fell. So manner of death was very difficult. We wouldn't know if there were stab wounds, gunshot wounds that passed through fleshy parts of the body. His clothes were pretty, from what I understand, like some things were identifiable, but 6 years in the elements,
Yeah.
So it would be hard to tell if something was a tear in fabric from a stab wound or if it was just years of being out in the elements.
But they do have some indication that it was all the way back in roughly 2019.
That's the assumption.
Yeah.
It would be hard to say that it wasn't back then. What were you going to say?
Well, yeah, I'm just considering that it's a very small area that he, like, where he went from to where the last place he was seen.
Oh, yeah.
His body shows up. For him to have left that area or stayed in that area undetected for 6 years or some span of time shorter than that, and then die, and then,
Yeah.
Who found him and how was he found?
He was found by a couple of hikers who were just hiking off trail.
Okay.
Who happened to pass through this area, saw his body, called it in, and then the police went out and they checked it out and they were like, this is probably Chance Englebert. And they were able to do, I think, DNA confirmation. It took about a month and a half to get there, but they did the DNA confirmation. They were like, yeah, it is Chance. They did not find his wallet. They also did not find his belt buckle. Now, Chance was a rodeo star. He was a bareback,
Right.
I think, horse rider. So the belt buckle would have been pretty important to him. They did not find it. They did find the belt. His belt was there. Belt buckle wasn't. Wallet wasn't there either. And I said in the video, it's like the wallet, it's one thing, right? Like you're falling down a cliff and your wallet comes out. It is what it is. The belt buckle, however, is that's a bit of a problem.
Well, the belt buckle and wallet in my mind is like, oh, is this either a robbery or staged robbery?
Exactly, you'd think, but it's weird to rob somebody and then dump their body in a place that's really hard to get to without being seen on camera. Because you would assume that the entrance to a national monument has cameras.
Yeah.
You would think.
And I am assuming that the police did in fact think to check the cameras at the local national monument when they were investigating this man's disappearance.
That's a...
Considering it was like 2 miles outside of town and he had been going west.
Yeah.
But you see, he fell into the river and drowned, obviously, so we
Yes,
don't need to bother
exactly.
checking the cameras. We know what happened to him. He drowned in the river.
Yeah. So here's the thing, working backwards, there's really no way to work backwards from what they found and reach the conclusion that they came to. It's like they had all of their original investigative stuff, and then they had this, and they were like, well, we got to square this somehow. Because here's the thing.
Well, yeah, what was the original theory?
The original theory was that he walked off and fell in the river and drowned. The North Platte River's right there.
The original theory before they found the body?
Before they found the body.
Back in 2019, yeah.
Okay. Because, when and where was he last seen?
July 6, 2019, walking away from his wife's grandparents' house.
Okay. Was there any reason why he was leaving?
They got in a fight.
Okay.
And he was like, well, he got in a fight with her in-laws. And then, which, to be fair, seems to have just been that he was drunk and took something the wrong way and then got mad about it. And he wanted to go back home to Wyoming. And his wife was like, I don't want to go back home to Wyoming. And then they just got in a fight about that, and he walked off.
Got it.
His wife, super sketchy woman. I mean, like, if you would imagine that if you're at a press conference, it's your husband goes missing on Saturday.
Yep.
He is the father of your infant child. You're really not sure why he walked off. It seems like, he kind of overreacted to something, and then he just walks off. He's been missing since Saturday night. It is Wednesday. You're at a press conference. What would you expect someone's demeanor to be?
Probably at least a little anxious and concerned.
So you've seen Gone Girl, right?
Yes.
Long
time ago.
I shit you not, she does as close as you can get to Ben Affleck's next to the missing poster.
Really?
As it could possibly get in real life.
Yeah.
So safe to say, at the very least, they probably didn't have a very good marriage.
That's the weird part, Aiden, is all of the interviews she talks about how happy their marriage was.
Oh, so that's just...
And everybody else, meanwhile, is like, oh yeah, Chance was always walking on eggshells around her. She was constantly screaming at him for stuff. Like, his mother begged her to leave him because she was like, if you really think he's that awful, why don't you just leave? Like, just leave.
Yeah, and then at that press conference, everybody, the rest of the family was saying good things about him. And when it got to her, she was like, he handled his responsibilities. He's really responsible. That's the only thing she said about her husband's character in that press conference.
Chance's mother, Dawn, is the first to speak at the press conference. Yeah. And she says, something like, hi, everybody, I'm Chance's mother, Dawn. This is our son, Miles. And then before she can even get out, my husband, Everett, she starts crying, which is what you would expect from a mother of a son who has been missing for 4 days.
Yeah, that tracks.
She then says, of course, you all know Bailey, and because they're in Gehring, and she's from there, and she points over to Bailey, and Bailey goes, Bailey and Banks, while bouncing the baby. She is not wearing a wedding ring.
No, that was the biggest dead giveaway. Are you kidding me? That's crazy.
Before we get any deeper into this, I want to be clear that I am not accusing Bailey Englebert, Bewley, whatever her last name is.
I am. No,
I'm not accusing. I don't think there's enough evidence to support the claim that she killed her husband or necessarily had somebody kill her husband. But I will say this. I have never seen somebody make absolutely no effort to not look suspicious.
Yeah.
I mean, it is every single behavior she displays throughout everything I researched is the behavior of a woman who is glad her husband is gone.
Yeah, at the very least, it seems like her prayers were answered, and she's really happy about it.
Because even within the first 24 hours, she says to Dawn, Chance's mom, she's like, I really think I really think he's coming back in a body bag.
I'm sure he's coming home in a body bag.
Yeah.
This is 24 hours after he's disappeared.
So you're right. It does sound like she's praying that this man is dead.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What the hell, dude?
She also, they go into the talk to the police. The police called him in to talk on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Again, he went missing on Saturday. The police call him in to talk on Tuesday. And of course, Chance's mom is like, I'd hoped that they were calling us in to tell us some news, at least hopefully some good news, maybe some bad news. All they really told us is that they hadn't found anything yet, which looking at it, I'm like, okay, this is probably them priming the family to tell them that this is about to move from a search and rescue op into a criminal investigation or a recovery op, because that's what you tend to see is after 3 or 4 days without any sign of the person, not hearing from them at all, you start to think foul play or tragic accident, something like that. That's when the police are starting to lean towards, okay, this guy's probably dead.
Unless they, for whatever reason, show up on the other side of the country with a haircut and their ski goggles still on.
Yes, in which case you're just Danny Filippaitis.
Yeah.
Wild story that I kind of want to revisit because that was... I didn't have a ton of time to look into it, but
that was the fugue steak one, right?
He was in it. They think he was in a fugue state. Yeah, a fugue steak. Also, I got to look back into the Stephen Kabaki thing because he wrote a book. He's the guy who disappeared for, I cannot remember how long. It's been a very long time since we looked at this, but he basically disappeared for I think at least several months to a year. And then after walking out, I think onto the ice of Lake Michigan or something, and then his footprints just stopped, and he just reappeared somewhere else a while later, if I'm remembering this one correctly. And I remember because he did an interview with Nick from The Missing Enigma, and he also reached out to us about doing an interview, or his agent did. This was right before his book came out, maybe right after. And I remember I was pretty excited about it, and then they told me we wouldn't be able to ask him any of our own questions. I was like...
So his agent had, like, pre-written questions just for you guys to read?
Unfortunately, that's not uncommon.
Yeah, and I was like, well, that doesn't...
Help me.
Then I'm just doing the same interview that Nick did.
Yeah.
Our channel was bigger. I didn't want to steal Nick's thunder.
Yeah.
Also, what's the point of me interviewing you if a guy who's basically the Pacific Northwest version of me just did that?
Yeah.
Like, why would... So we ended up not doing it. But yeah, so, but I'm curious. I should read his book and be like, what did he say happened? Because I think we kind of came to the conclusion that, like, either he was legitimately in a fugue state, or he was just really freaked out about the fact that his life was kind of settling together and he decided to disappear for a year.
Yeah, that's fair. Really quickly before we hop back into Chance, because the footprints ending and he appears somewhere else reminded me of something. I can't remember if I mentioned this to you yet. Did you guys see the clip of Obama from like 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, where he's just like, yeah, I believe in aliens. They're not in Area 51. And then Brian Tyler Cohen, a terrible journalist, awful man, can't ask a question to save his life, Brian Tyler Cohen.
No, here's the thing. It's not that he says I believe in them. The direct quote is, oh, yeah, they're real. I just haven't seen any.
And then he tried to walk it back on Twitter. He's like, I mean, I personally believe that, they're probably out there. It's like, no, you said they're real.
Was it Twitter or was it at the moment where he's like, unless there's a conspiracy to keep that information from the president of the United States?
He was like, they're real. I just haven't seen them. And like, they're not in some underground bunker unless they're like, there's a conspiracy to hide that from the president. But whatever. And it's like, the reason I remember it so much, because that was the last video I watched a few days ago before I went to sleep. And I put my phone down and I just sat there and laid in the bed for a few minutes. And Kat was like, well, didn't you think there already were aliens? And I was like, it's not about whether or not I thought they might exist. It's that
if anyone were to know.
It's also, if Trump had said that, I've been like, okay, sure. The fact that Obama said the phrase, oh yeah, they're real, I just haven't seen them, I had to sit there and think for a second, this wasn't Alex Jones. This wasn't this was Obama. And he said it declaratively.
Yeah, that wasn't I believe in them or I think. That was they're real.
Yeah, and
aliens are real.
Yeah, and it's just like in that moment for 5 minutes, I was like, it's not about whether I've considered they were real on it. It's like if this is genuine, this shifts my understanding of a lot of things very heavily. Because like,
it's Obama.
And it's like, okay, so
thanks, Obama.
Yeah, literally, thanks, Obama. Thanks for preventing my sleep again. But yeah,
that's my favorite about the phrasing is that that's a specific scene and exchange in Independence Day where Jeff Daniels is like, "There's no such thing as Area 51," and then his defense secretary or somebody, one of his next in line guys,
Jeff
is like,
Daniels is in.
Sorry, Bill Pullman. Not
okay.
not
I was
Jeff
gonna
Daniels.
say,
Sorry, Bill
it was
Pullman.
like I know it's been a while since I've seen it.
To be fair, they do look a little alike, but no. Bill Pullman is like, "There's no such thing as Area 51." Come on, that's it. And then the guy next to him, his aide, is like, Mr. President. And Bill Pullman's like, what? He's like, there is an Area 51 and there are aliens there. And the president's like, well, when were you going to tell me about that?
Maybe that was true. Maybe that was the case. It was like, look, you don't need it for international and domestic policy. This is intergalactic policy. You're not cleared for that.
He's like, listen, that's the space president's purview. And he's like, the what? I love that there's an entire alternate storyline where, in National Treasure 2, where they're down in the tunnels and he's got the president basically blocked off. You just know the president's like, shit, he's about to ask about the aliens. And then he's like, so my great-great-grandfather was not involved in assassinating Lincoln. And he's just like, oh, thank God. Oh my
well, the thing about that movie that gets me is that if that plan works, it's way easier to assassinate the president than I imagined it would be.
Okay, and we just got demonetized.
Let's think about it.
We'll be right back.
How easily could Ben Gates have just been like, all right.
I mean, we found out last year, it's not as hard to assassinate the president as we all thought it was. You just have to not be noticed by the Butler Police Department.
Yeah, people forget incompetence is probably the easiest element to get around.
Dude, they almost got Trump.
Yeah. If he was
almost got Trump.
if he was 10% better a shot.
It's not even that.
No, the shot was in the right spot. He turned his head. It was the fact that he aimed for the head instead of the chest. Idiot.
Oh, I thought it was that he didn't. Okay, yeah.
Come on, man. Center mass. I'm not even advocating for I don't think that the guy should have tried to shoot Trump. But if you're gonna try to shoot somebody, you aim center mass.
But what about level 4 plates?
Okay, well, I mean, now we're talking about something different entirely.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is that Brylan Tyler Cohen is the worst journalist of all time for having the former president of the United States sitting in front of him saying, yeah, the aliens are real, but they're not at Area 51. And then trying to move on to the next question, having the president yet again reiterate that aliens are real, and then just continuing along.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm like...
To be fair, I do have to play a little devil's advocate. If I was in his position and I'm talking to Barack Obama and he drops that in front of me, I'm probably going to be sitting there thinking, is he kidding? Is this a joke?
Dude, I'd shit my pants.
Yeah, I would follow up on it because not following up on it is considerably more embarrassing than falling for the joke.
That's true.
Yeah.
It'd be one of those deals where it's I had to sit for 5 minutes watching it on TikTok. I can't imagine hearing that IRL. Talking to him.
Every night for the rest of his life, he's like, did I just, accidentally become the guy that was told that aliens are real without ever having security clearance?
I was sitting there and all I could think about was the old Whitest Kids You Know skit, and I'm like, oh, so we're invading Iran.
Yep.
That's what's happening, is we are about to invade Iran.
Yep.
Which, I mean, we look like we're about to invade Iran.
Well, which carrier group is in
Lincoln,
off the coast?
I think.
Yeah.
Lincoln.
Once they move them away from Venezuela and start heading towards either the Med or the sea, what is it, the sea right off of Iran?
Persian Gulf?
Yeah, the Persian Gulf, yeah, but there's the
Red Sea?
The Indian Ocean?
Indian Ocean and the Red Sea, yeah. Well, once they start leaving the Venezuelan coast and heading
I'm pretty
east,
sure they're I'm pretty sure there's a carrier group over there.
There is one, but I'm saying that there's two around Venezuela.
Ah, gotcha.
The moment they start moving east, that's when I feel like we need to be worried.
Yeah. I feel like the Trade Federation.
Yeah, literally.
More oil wars!
Anyway, no, we are fighting the war for the Persian baddies. That is what we were telling the Marines.
I could get behind that. I ideologically support
I think
that.
they could all get behind that. Well, yeah, I
think getting behind that is the goal for most of the Marines.
I would say that's accurate. I have also been surprised from some of the stories that you've put up on your, I think, Instagram.
Why?
About some of the things that the Iranian people are out protesting in terms of they want regime change.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was surprising to see. I didn't
Yeah, because nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy how everybody's been talking about Ukraine and Gaza, and then this all is happening over in Iran, and we're just not talking about it.
Yep.
Anyway, Chance Englebert.
Yep.
Anyway, the proclamation line of 1763. Okay.
Your kids are going to love that.
So, getting back to the topic at hand.
Yep.
Unless Chance was abducted by aliens and then dropped from 130 to 290 feet, this is irrelevant.
They beam him down, but they get the y-axis wrong,
exactly.
and so he just drops to his
God,
death.
that's horrible. So where were we on that? Right. Yeah, Bailey's not wearing a wedding ring, and I was giving my disclaimer of I don't think there's enough evidence to say that Bailey is responsible for this.
But she acted very
But she is doing everything in her power to make it look like she is.
Mm-hmm.
She has not spoken to the press since late 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Which, understandable, right up until they found his body. Which, by the way, in most U.S. states, if I'm not mistaken, somebody has been missing for however long to declare them legally dead is, I believe, 7 years. She asked after 3 days.
What?
She's like, didn't she call the police, right? And was like,
Yeah, that's the part
how do I get a death certificate?
No. That's the part I was talking about. Is they brought her in. This is what I was about to say. Is they brought her in and they said, his mom assumed that they had news. They brought him in. They said, we haven't found anything yet. And I was telling you guys that's usually their way of like priming the family of like, okay, you're about to get some bad news. The bad news isn't he's dead. The bad news is we think he's probably dead. They bring the family in. They say we have no news. Based on Don Englebert's description of what happened, about that point, Bailey asked, how do I get a death certificate? Keep in mind, they did not tell them he's dead. They said, we have no news. This then gets on Facebook, in the Facebook comments, which I forgot to, or I wasn't able to confirm enough stuff to bring this up and add it to the video. But there were a few things I mentioned, and I meant to point out that a user on TikTok who goes by Maymay9388 is where I got that information. So I'm going to try and ask her to put a little thing in there because she did a good job on collecting a lot of this stuff. I'm guessing she's probably a local based on the screenshots she had of Facebook images of Facebook comments. The Bewley family tries to spin this as, in one case, that it was Tracy, who is Bailey's mother, who started talking about, well, what's the next step if we can't find him? Bailey doesn't have a job. She's a stay-at-home mom. They have an infant to take care of. Like, how do we get access to his Social Security benefits if he's dead? What do we do here? And that's when Bailey asked about the death certificate. I don't know if Tracy was actually even in the room. Based on what Dawn said, it sounds like she wasn't. Another version of the story, this one I can't remember exactly who it came from, but somebody else suggested that it was actually, it was an officer named Eads was his last name, said that it was that actually Dawn and Bailey were having the conversation. Now, Tracy said it was Tracy and Bailey. Eads says it's Dawn and Bailey that are having the conversation about, how to get his Social Security benefits in case he's not found. And that's when Bailey asked about the death certificate. The way Dawn describes it, and she's the only one who I am, positive was in that room with Bailey, Bailey just asked about it. And the police captain, Jason Rogers, was like, well, we don't handle that, but I think that's premature. He could very much still be alive. We're just trying to figure it out. Keep in mind, this is a 25-year-old man who had his cell phone, his wallet, his credit cards, and last anybody saw was walking off along a road.
Is there any information about cell phone pings?
Yes, the last time was 9:08 p.m. Somewhere southeast of Riverview Golf Course, which puts him in the right arc for where he was last seen, and also the direction of where he was eventually found.
And what time was the catastrophic failure?
9:11.
Okay, yeah, so then...
And the message he sent at 9:08 was really weird. And, based on the fact that he'd had a solid two and a half... Bailey picked him up at around 7. So by this point, he had at least 2 hours to sober up. He had been drinking all day, but he had at least 2 hours to sober up. And from what I understand, he was not blackout drunk stumbling around. He was just drunk. Mm-hmm. He should have been at the point where he could send a text message. The last text he sent was, 2 texts, was I'm, and then the flat emoji face, which what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Just that. And then I believe IBDESEREALLYG.
IBD is a really good...
Which to me sounds like there is a word there. The word really is in there.
That's a kind of text I've sent when I've been completely blacked out.
Exactly.
I don't send texts like that when I've sobered up for 2 hours.
That's the kind of text you send when you're definitely not sober enough to be walking around town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Following roads at right angles.
Is there any way he drank more at the in-laws' house / got more to drink after he left?
Very unlikely. If he did, then it was not caught on any security cameras, or just the police didn't follow up, because there was a guy who came forward the same day as the press conference to say, hey, I'm pretty sure he was in my gas station. I had a guy come in, and I don't think he commented all of this on Facebook, but he did reach out to the police, try and tell them that he thought he'd seen Chance, and the police were like, yeah, we know he was in that area of town.
But with the added... so here's what... Because this is
they didn't look into the details.
This is one of the episodes of the case that fascinated me the most. This clerk guy says, yeah, I think I checked him out at the gas station. He walked in, clothes were a little wet from the rain. He goes over to the far side of the store.
It had just started to rain.
Yeah,
Okay.
Just started to rain.
So he goes to the
Which,
far
by the way, keep in mind, the only way for Chance to get from where he was to where he was found without going all the way around and up the trails would be for him to walk up a bluff.
in a thunderstorm.
There is a spot where you might be able to get to the trail going up a hill in a thunderstorm. A sandstone bluff in a thunderstorm.
Okay, yeah. Interesting.
Wearing cowboy boots.
Yeah. Cowboy boots is kind of a key part of that.
Yeah, if you're wearing hiking boots, that's doable. If you're
Yeah.
wearing work boots, cowboy boots.
For those of you who may or may not be aware, cowboy boots are like pretty well flat on the bottom. At least most cowboy boots are.
They usually do not have anything for traction.
If it's even a little muddy, you're slipping and sliding all over the place. I know. I've worn them.
Yeah. So anyway, this clerk says he comes in, he goes to the far side of the store to just browse. A silver
Picks up a Monster Energy drink.
Monster Energy
which
drink.
That was something that the rest of his family was like, yeah, he drinks those.
Yeah. And then a silver-haired gentleman with who is physically fit comes into the gas station, talks to him. They have a tense exchange. Then Chance allegedly came up, bought some chewing tobacco.
Yep.
Used a South Dakota ID.
Keep in mind, he was born and raised in South Dakota, moved to Wyoming for work. We don't know. It would be hard. It would be very possible for him to still have a South Dakota ID because I believe he did not move to Wyoming until he was older than 21.
Basically, the majority of the evidence suggests this was Chance.
Yes, so far.
Right, because if that clerk is making the story up for clout or something, he's going to add the detail of, well, it was a Wyoming ID if he's trying to sound more legitimate.
Chance was reported as being from Wyoming at this point. So for him having a South Dakota ID...
That lends some credence. The other thing is that description of that guy that he had the tense exchange with matches the description that this guy could not have known about, which was Bailey's father or grandfather who went out to go look for him that night.
Yeah. According to private investigator Ryan Couch.
Yeah.
Who has met these people.
And for all those fascinating details that we just described, cops do nothing with that information.
Yep. They're like, well, we knew he was in that part of town. And the guy's like, no, like, I think he came into my store. And then, lo and behold, guy tells Ryan that, keep in mind, Ryan is interviewing the man, I think, a year and a half after the disappearance. So it's possible that this person, this alleged witness, has put together the story to an extent. We don't know exactly what he told police when he called them. But he says that that he had made a joke, I didn't phrase it this way in the video, but that he took the ID, saw it was from South Dakota, being as their neighboring states. He did precisely what I'd do if somebody showed me an Ohio ID and cracked a joke about it and asked what a South Dakota boy was doing out in a Nebraska storm like this. And then Chance told him, according to this man, that he had gotten into an argument with his wife, but he had cooled down and he was heading back now. And that's important because the next place that Ryan Couch believes Chance is seen on a camera, the police, the latest they'll say is 751. Ryan thinks that there is footage of Chance turning onto Terry Boulevard, which is in the general direction of where he would have been going to get back to Bailey's grandparents' place at between 8:50 and 9 p.m. This exchange, based on the weather, happened sometime after 8:30 p.m., which means that Chance could have walked into the convenience store, bought something, and then started making his way back to Bailey's place before he suddenly, for some reason, ends up northwest of that location. He should be going southeast. He ends up northwest.
Is there any way in which he just got a bit turned around?
You'd have to get really turned around at that point. We're talking like 3 turns. Like you're leaving the Sinclair gas station. You're going this way, you're going this way, and you're going this way.
And again, he is clearly sober enough by now to not make that mistake.
Yeah.
Like,
or
familiar is he with
alternatively, they've been there a number of times. He would be familiar with the main roads.
Okay.
Or alternatively, he could have gone straight down south from the Sinclair station, turned left to head southeast, which this is another thing that I probably should have considered is that Couch just had his streets mixed up because then it suddenly makes sense.
Yeah, Couch isn't great with cardinal directions.
Couch is not great with cardinal directions. I'm hoping we can have him on the show. We can confirm all of these things.
Okay.
He could have gone south from the Sinclair gas station, hung a right down Stable Club, and then made his way over to 10th and then down to O Street, which is where he needed to go. Instead, he ends up several miles northwest of there, off the side of a cliff.
Now, it could have been...
Wait. Sorry, pause really quickly. From the gas station, that final footage.
Yeah.
That is between the gas station and where he ended up. That's northwest?
No. Between the gas station... no, so that's the thing. He ends up over here. The gas station is here.
Yep.
He's last seen on camera, if it's him, here.
Okay, so that's an important clarification because I didn't fully get that. So the last footage is him actually having gone in the direction of where he's supposed to be.
He is found northwest of the gas station. The last supposed footage of him shows him southeast of the gas station, and he should have been moving further southeast.
Yeah, so he was last footage suggests between the gas station and the home from which he left, he was heading in the direction of back to his in-laws' house or whatever that is.
Something makes him then turn around and walk back the way he came.
Did the cops ask for confirmation about whether or not the father or grandfather left the house to look for him?
Oh, he did.
He definitely did. Yeah, that was the thing.
That was something Bailey said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean... And there's so much other weird stuff. According to Chance's mother, they were their relationship with Bailey's family was pretty good up until about 2 weeks after Chance disappeared, when she had a conversation with Bailey's mother, Tracy, and told her that they were raising money for a private investigator.
Understandable given the incompetence displayed by the Gering Police Department.
And that is the last time Tracy ever spoke to them.
How well do Bailey's family know the cops of the town?
I do not know.
I mean, they're from that town, though.
They are from that town.
How
Presumably,
big is the town?
I think
it's in like
so Scottsbluff is a little bit larger. Gering is right south of Scottsbluff.
Mm-hmm.
Gering's 8,000. Looking at I didn't look at the exact population for Scottsbluff, but I would say probably 15 to 20,000.
Gering is the county seat of Scottsbluff County, and it has about 8,500 people as of 2020.
What about Scottsbluff itself?
Stand by.
Not the county, but the town.
Right.
Because even still, because like Gering...
14.4.
Yeah, so between the two, it's a little bit bigger than Phoenixville.
Oh, substantially. Because no. Because isn't Phoenixville...
Phoenixville is about 20.
I always think that we're 40 for some reason.
No.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, but that's the thing, though, is like, because Gering would have its own police department.
It did. Yeah. Gering and Scottsbluff had different police departments. I think Gering does cover Terrytown.
That would make sense. That would make sense. Yeah.
Which is like basically, I mean, it's a little more than a neighborhood.
Yeah.
So that would be my guess for Terrytown.
Yeah, in a town of 8,500 people, if you guys are like townies, you guys are people that have been there for a couple generations, you probably know the cops.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
do we have any confirmation of whether or not Chance ever went to that national park previously?
I don't know. I couldn't find anything.
Okay.
imagine not.
Probably not. From what I understand, they really only went there to visit her family. And they were at a golf course southeast of there earlier in the day. Several people did see the interaction at the golf course. One person said that he didn't see an argument between Chance and his in-laws. Another person said that he saw a very mild, brief argument between Chance and his brother-in-law. The interesting part is that, according to Bailey, she and Chance did not argue that night. According to the witnesses, she and Chance argued for about 10 minutes in the parking lot.
Who said the quote where allegedly Chance walked out and said to Bailey, "Get the fuck back in the car"?
That was Bailey.
So Bailey initially said there was no argument, and then later said
Bailey initially said, this is from an NBC interview. Bailey initially said that, or were both of those from? I'm trying to remember really quick. Yeah, if I remember correctly, Bailey said in the NBC interview that they didn't argue that night.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been in the Vanished podcast episode that she said that. What I do know is that she said they didn't argue that night, and then she said that she had gotten there to pick him up and gotten out of the car with Banks to go say hi and sit with everybody for a little bit, and then Chance said, "Get the fuck back in the car, we're leaving." Which, to be fair, not an argument.
No.
That's a statement. And she said that they immediately, that's the part that matters, is she said that they immediately got back in the car and drove back to Gehring.
Versus the witnesses
are saying they argued for about 10 minutes in the parking lot and that he was cursing.
Yeah, it's also...
It said there were swear words exchanged. They did not... So it might have been they were cursing at each other.
Yeah, it's not the greatest look for Chance.
No, so that's the thing with this case. Bailey speaks in very glowing terms of Chance repeatedly. Chance's own mother does not.
Interesting.
Chance's mother says that, he could party and drink sometimes, and sometimes he would raise his voice. He would never lay a hand on his wife or his child, but he had a temper, and when he would get too angry, what he would usually do was, step outside, go for a walk, and come back when he'd cool down. Several of Chance's friends confirmed that. One of Chance's friends confirmed that Chance was like getting yelled at by Bailey all the time, for not all the time, but that Bailey would yell at him for things he hadn't done.
Who was the relative that said that he had cheated on her before?
That was his mother.
That was his mom. Yeah. Okay.
His mom said that. What she said was, "I can't say that Chance never cheated on Bailey, but if he did, it was before they got married." Because Chance had said to her when she had confronted him about it, I guess after finding out, my guess is that she found out about it because Bailey was screaming about it at some point during one of these fights, is that she probably confronted Chance about it, and he said, "I didn't cheat on my wife." And she took that to mean that if he did cheat, it was before they were married. One thing that I also didn't get to say in the video, and I kind of wish I had, but it's whatever now, it appears that they got married because Bailey got pregnant.
Yeah, it is very clear from the way you phrase it.
I didn't explicitly say it, but I did hint at it.
So there are no angels in this story.
No, that's one of the reasons that it's such a weird story, and why it reminds me so much of the Sebastian Rogers one is because with the Sebastian Rogers case, the only people who try to make Sebastian seem like he was the perfect child are the Proudfoots. If you make someone disappear, the way that you're going to try and convince people you didn't is by convincing them that you adored that person.
Yeah.
And so when, again, I'm not going to say there's enough evidence to say Bailey did it, and I don't want people to go find Bailey and threaten her. There's a reason that I gave zero information about her, after all of this happened.
Yeah.
I know generally where she is now. I know details about her life. I did not give any of them because I didn't want people to try and track this woman down and harass her, and especially not her son.
Let's talk off mic, though, because I am curious about some of that.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like, look, this is not an accusation. It's a hypothetical theory. It seems like if it was anyone, it was her older male relative.
So that's the thing, is that that's what I was getting to. One really bizarre thing Bailey said very early on, I think this was reported on July 10th or 11th by the Star Herald, was that the last anyone heard from Chance was around 8:46 p.m.
It's a pretty specific number.
Yes.
Normally, you would say around 8:45.
Yes. Yeah. And so it is possible that was a typo. It's possible. I never saw any correction of that typo. I saw that typo appear frequently. I saw other people cite that time period. I can't remember if there was another instance of Bailey saying it, but I feel like there was. Anyway, it says around 8:46. If that's not a typo, profilers would tell you that suggests she's hiding something, that she knows more, or that she knows more than she's saying, because people usually aren't that precise. Another thing is that she said that she got off the phone with him for the last time at 7:46. So she says 8:46 is the last anybody reported hearing from him. 8:46 would be right about the time he's leaving that convenience store. If that's him at the convenience store.
Also, the mild devil's advocate with modern phones, obviously, we have call and text records that do go down to the minute.
Yeah.
So, she may have...
The 7:46, sure.
Yeah.
The 8:46, she didn't say the last I talked to him. She said the last anyone talked to him.
So presumably would have been her grandfather.
Yes. So that's why...
They told her about the other weird thing, as far as who else could have been involved, is that there was an anonymous male... What was the word that Ryan used? Acquaintance or something of...
Oh, he said it was a... he spoke to the
girlfriend of an associate of a male known to Bailey.
Yeah, of a male connected to Bailey. Which, of course, I was sitting here reading that, and I'm like, I was your father's brother's uncle's roommate.
Right.
So what does that make us? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So that male connected to Bailey was heard.
Based on the context, Ryan Couch doesn't say anything specific about who this person was. Based on the context, it sounds like it was probably a family member of Bailey's or a close family friend, because he said that he had mentioned this to the person. He said that, this other person I interviewed told me that you had said that Chance was abusing Bailey. And he said, oh, well, I'd never heard of that.
Well, his words were like, well, anybody who beats his wife like that deserves to disappear.
Yeah, it was something along those lines.
He says very much like, if he didn't do it, he was very approving of it happening.
Yeah.
That was the vibe.
So, and that's the thing is according to Ryan Couch, when he talked to this individual, the person said, well, I'd never heard of that. I'd never heard that Chance was abusing Bailey. And Ryan Couch told him point blank, well, all of your friends and family members told me that you said it at this particular family event. Here's the thing. Bailey, according to all the interviews, never once said anything about Chance being abusive. Yet Ryan Couch goes down there and starts interviewing people who know Bailey, and they all tell him Bailey said Chance was abusive. And as far as he can tell, that rumor started to spin up right around the time Chance disappeared. And based on the fact that the way that her in-laws were talking about him was so positive, I'm thinking it was probably after he disappeared, probably in the first couple of weeks. And to me, that would suggest that she was trying to lay the groundwork to justify why she wasn't upset that he had disappeared.
Yeah. I mean, look, if their relationship was that contentious and it was a shotgun wedding, I can understand why, even just from even if there wasn't abuse, why she's not going to be incredibly upset. Yeah. Like, given what little I've heard here, it's like, look, if even if she wasn't involved and she just was kind of like a little bit half and half of like, this is really problematic. I hope he's okay, but at the same time, this solves a lot of my problems. Yeah. That's a bit morbid.
And
but
he also just lost his job, and the new job he had taken paid about half what he was making before.
Now wait, so why couldn't they just divorce?
Oh, I'm sure that they could have.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing is like if it was a scenario,
that's what Chance's mother begged her to leave him.
Why wouldn't she?
I'm guessing that it had something to do with the money.
Yeah. The other thing that made me think of, it could be a third party is that, like...
Also, just really quickly, okay. I do want to reiterate that I'm not trying to accuse Bailey of doing this. I'm saying that based on the public information we have right now, it looks like Bailey had something to do with it.
Yeah.
I am begging the Gering Police Department and the alleged private investigator Bailey claims to have hired, or some member of that family, doesn't even have to be this show, go talk to somebody and tell your side of the story. Because right now, frankly, it looks like you did it. Yeah. I mean, if I were an outside observer, I am an outside observer. I'm sitting here and I have run through it so many times. Look, it is very possible that Chance was out that night, ran into the wrong kind of person, and, somebody stabbed him, took his wallet and his belt buckle, and then, dragged him up there and dumped his body. Statistically, it's a lot more likely that Bailey said he was abusing her, and then some friends or family went and did something to him.
Because that's the other thing, is that you kind of imply in the video that she, if not cheated on somebody with him when they first got together, at least maybe left that guy for him.
Yeah.
So who was another, like, so
she had a high school boyfriend who used to ride rodeo with Chance's little brother, and that's how they met.
Right.
Is she remarried?
I was not able to confirm that. To my understanding, and I want to be clear that I have not done a ton of research to go into this because it wasn't what I was concerned about. I'm concerned about the facts of the case.
Yep.
As it is now, it would be totally possible after 6 years, if she had nothing to do with it, for her to have moved on.
Yeah.
There'd be nothing weird about that.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I understand, yes, she is partnered with someone now. I don't know how long that has been.
Yeah. So there's other people. There's a couple other people at this point that we've listed off, including this ex or whatever, like who could very easily be in that category of like, oh, someone I'm connected to is, being abused. I'm gonna take it upon myself to go and.
What was the
like an ex-boyfriend or she has brothers-in-law
said the in-laws,
stuff,
but
yeah.
we've said the term grandfather.
Yes, that is Bailey's grandfather.
They were staying with
her grandparents.
Okay, so it would have been the grandfather that talked to him at the convenience store.
If it was somebody in her family, yes, it was the grandfather.
Where are her parents in all this?
They were there. They just, from what I understand, weren't out looking. It was a pretty severe thunderstorm.
Got it. What time of year?
This was July. It was the 4th of July weekend, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So it was July 6th when he disappeared.
Yeah, so we're kind of
that's the other thing that
end
bugs
of
me, though,
tornado
is
season.
Bailey said in a bunch of these interviews that, like, early on, this is, like, stuff that's being reported, July, August, September, that she wasn't initially worried when he didn't come back, and that she figured he was just, pissed off and,
That's the thing. It seems like this was a routine for him.
But then by the end of the 24-hour period, she's like, well, he's
yeah.
coming home in a body bag.
She goes from, I'm sure it's fine, and he'll, come wandering in sometime late tonight, embarrassed about how he behaved, to, I just know he's coming home in a body bag.
Which is enough time for an accomplice to go be like, yeah, I got it done. And then she's like, oh, okay, so now I can pivot from...
Well, that's the other thing. She didn't report him missing until 11 o'clock the next morning. If your position on it is... I think he'll be home. I think he'll come home sometime late tonight, and he's still not back at 8 a.m., and he's not answering his phone. And you call his mom around 8 a.m. and say, hey, have you heard from Chance? And she says no. Why do you wait until 11 a.m.?
The only thing I can think of is an assumption that maybe he crashed at a hotel, and by 11 you have to check out.
Maybe.
Oh, that's a good point.
To be perfectly honest, I don't think there's that many gears turning.
Fair, maybe.
Like, based on what I've seen of Bailey, I don't think that there's that many gears turning.
Yeah, given how, given the strange lack of logic to some of her decisions, I don't know that she would think of that.
Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a term for the kind of woman she sounds like. It's a term you'll be familiar with from the show Yellowstone.
Say it, I'll bleep it out.
It's not. I mean, the hockey equivalent would be a puck bunny.
Yep.
Oh.
But yeah, so she was dating a rodeo guy before him, and then she met him through the rodeo circuit, and he was an older, more accomplished rodeo star.
Got it.
She said, from what I understand, they met online. I don't know precisely what that means. My guess would be that she DM'd him.
Probably.
Because again, frankly, if we're being honest, if I'm a rodeo star, there are greener pastures. Again,
they travel a lot, man.
I'm not trying to be rude. I am trying to be analytical about the thing.
Yeah.
And put it this way, I am a rather well-known individual.
Yeah.
I have been in musical bands and such. I have had, in some cases, women throw themselves at me, to put it one way. My fiance is really hot. I just don't say. Chance was a good-looking guy. He kind of looks like a slightly beefier version of Casey from Yellowstone. So,
love is strange, and if he
is strange, but does this sound like love to you?
Well, here's the thing. It might have been for Chance. I don't know about for her.
I don't think it was for Chance either.
Again, really? Talking about like a shotgun wedding, and they had.
Well, if he cheated on her.
Yeah.
This is a shotgun wedding that took place, a year after they met?
Now, according to, it was almost exactly a year after they met.
Were they together, quote unquote? Before...
So that's the thing that's a little hard to say. It seems like Chance's mother perceived it as they were boyfriend and girlfriend. Otherwise, it wouldn't be cheating.
Yeah, a mother's perspective is always going to be a little...
It will, yes. But like I said, she was pretty open about the fact that Chance was not, like, an angel.
Yeah.
Well, to my mother, I'm not gonna be like, yeah, there's a girl I'm fucking. You know, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be like, that's my girlfriend for the sake of.
Yeah, if my mom's like, oh, who's that girl you've been bringing around? She's really nice. I'm not gonna be like, ah, that's just a slam piece. Like, it's not how it's gonna go.
Oh my god.
So
Yeah, she was at the rodeo. You know, I just it was easy.
she was at the rodeo. I took her for a ride. Now she's pregnant. Like, you know, you're not gonna say that.
Yeah.
So like I said, I don't think anybody in this story is a saint.
Yep.
The problem I have is just the absurdly suspicious behavior we see from Bailey specifically, and then the fact that the moment Chance's family tells her family they're hiring a private investigator, Bailey's family hires a lawyer and doesn't include the Engleberts in that decision.
Yeah, so that was the thing, is that the moms essentially meet. They're having coffee or something, whatever.
They were at a derby.
Yeah, they were at a derby.
A lot of these are Western terms that I don't totally understand. I do not know what the difference between a derby and a rodeo is.
I thought it was at one of the homes. No, okay. So they either way, they have this
Derby's
conversation.
racing.
Ah,
Yeah. So but they're having a
Kentucky
conversation.
Derby and
Gotcha.
stuff. Yeah.
So they're having a conversation. Dawn mentions the private investigator, and Tracy goes like, "Oh God."
Now,
And it's like she kind of crashes out.
Dawn suggested that this was more because of how expensive it was. That she was like, "Oh God, that's expensive."
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so she kind of has a little bit of a crash out, leaves. They don't hear from Bailey's side of the family ever again.
I'm not gonna lie.
Then the cops,
the cops, Captain Jason
Gary-
Rogers calls her and goes, "Hey, are you being represented by the family's attorney?" And she's like, "What do you mean? Do I need a lawyer?" And he's like, "No, I would prefer you don't get a lawyer because it's easier to talk to you that way."
Yeah, but then she's like, but the Buleys have gotten a lawyer.
Wait, I have to say, I know I've said this before about other cases, but the more details you guys are giving me, especially about this family, there is a great Coen Brothers movie in here somewhere.
Absolutely.
like a Fargo style, like the fact that she's like, we're gonna get a private investigator. It's just, oh God, like just feels like something out of Fargo.
It really is. It really is.
That's the thing.
Even though
you know how I am.
alien banks.
You know how I am when it comes to these things. I am always looking for the non-conspiratorial,
Yeah.
the simple, somebody made a really stupid decision and it got him killed kind of answer.
Yeah.
As I'm writing the episode, I'm trying. I'm not, like, I am writing the episode deliberately trying to not assign blame to anybody. And they just keep begging me to do it. Every decision this family makes is them being like, please cast suspicion upon me.
Yeah.
Like, it's bizarre.
It really reminds me of one of those. You ever watched any of those YouTube videos where it's like stupid criminals and it goes through all the like dumb reasons why the cops caught these
Oh,
people?
my favorite are, and you know what? We should do like breakdowns of some of these videos.
Yeah,
or
that would be
something, 'cause it'd
good.
be really entertaining. But my favorite are the interrogation videos where like whoever it is that just murdered somebody like thinks they're getting away with it, and then like 3 hours in, the cop is like, "That's weird because you said this like an hour ago." Or like something along the lines of like they buddy.
Yeah.
That's odd because we found your blood on this piece of clothing in their bedroom. Can you explain that? Oh, it is. That's interesting because you just said like an hour ago that you were actually here when you did that, and it just starts like it's a whole castle built on sand that just comes down.
That's exactly what would have played out if the cops had pursued any of these.
That's the thing is like, look, I understand as police, you walk a fine line where the last thing you want to do is pull a woman who might have just lost her husband into the interrogation room and grill her on everything that happened that night.
Mm-hmm.
But when she shows up to the press conference you organized, showing zero signs of anxiety or grief, no wedding ring, and doesn't speak unless prompted to do so, at a certain point, especially after weeks and months have passed, and she's not talking to the media and she's lawyered up, at a certain point, you probably should try to apply a little bit of pressure.
At the very
Call
least.
her in with her lawyer present and be like, hey, We just need to ask you some questions about what you said happened that night so we can make sure that we have the story down.
Yeah. Well, at the very least,
It
you do that
seems
with
like-
every family member individually to make sure there aren't
seems like they
contradictions.
didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, that's baseline, though, too. Like, I understand exactly what you're saying, but, like, baseline procedure, to my understanding, is there's a crime, and there are people, or a potential crime. And I guess this is kind of a tough bit, because if it starts out as a missing persons case, and there's never, like, the body was never found, so it never get swapped to a official criminal investigation? Because that might be part of the problem.
From what I understand... Okay, so here's the thing, and this is, I would suggest everybody watching this go and watch True Crime Unsolved on YouTube. I do not know how they only have 4,000 subscribers. They do great work. Watch their interview with Dawn. Watch their interview with Ryan. Watch their follow-up interview with Ryan from after the body was
If
found.
a channel with 4,000 got couched twice, well, we should get them.
I don't think we're going to have trouble getting Ryan Couch, frankly. Yeah, Ryan, if you're seeing this, which there's a good chance you are, we'd love to have you. We'd love to have Dawn, Sean, Miles. If you guys want to come on, we'd happily have you as well. They're the True Crime Unsolved guys.
Nice.
They did great interviews. Very good at just letting their guests talk. And I forget where I was going.
You were talking about
Whether or not this was a criminal investigation at any
Yes,
point.
from what I understand, it looks like it was maybe moving in that direction, and then for some reason or another, the lead investigator got switched. And the second person, from what I remember Dawn saying, I think she said the first guy, Jason Rogers, was great, but he was the captain. So once it was no longer a new missing persons case, it got swapped off to somebody who I guess probably was a specialist in that department. It then got moved over to this guy, Eads. And Eads, from what I've read, and look, I'm not trying to shit talk the guy, but he seems very just straight up dismissive of the possibility that this was foul play.
So it kind of is Eads that's the, well, duh, he fell in the river. Why would I bother
Yeah.
looking into this more? Yeah, okay.
So they repeatedly were like, well, last time he's seen, he's near the river, so he's probably in the river. He was not in the river. The press release from the Gehring Police Department does not explain, anything about that. It doesn't say, we thought he was in the river and he turned out to not be in the river. Like, it doesn't acknowledge that. And then the interesting part is, and I understand why they phrased it this way, but I don't like that this is just their conclusion. At the end of the press release, they say, we do not have any evidence to suggest that that Chance's death was anything but accidental. Technically, that's true. The problem is, there's a lot of reasons why it doesn't look accidental. They might not count as evidence because the lack of the belt buckle is technically not evidence. If the belt buckle showed up in a pawn shop, that would be evidence. However, if you see a body that has a belt but no belt buckle, you're pretty fucking stupid to not think that there was some foul play or that it was suicide. And that's the thing. If they had said, we believe that his death was self-inflicted, that I can get behind. I can understand where you're coming from there. To say that a man walked up to that spot he had no reason to go to, which this is their position, is that he was trying to take a shortcut to get to Torrington. This was not a shortcut to Torrington. This was a long cut to Torrington. The highway goes straight to Torrington.
This was like an extra scenic route to get to Torrington.
Yeah.
Especially in the middle of a thunderstorm.
Torrington's not up the bluff.
Also, if he is taking a shortcut, then he can't have used the trails, because using the trails would very obviously be taking you up the bluff.
Yeah.
Which means that if he was trying to take a shortcut to Torrington, then not only did he leave the road that goes to Torrington, and keep in mind, this is not like out here where there's all sorts of mountains everywhere and you have roads that wind a lot. Like in Pennsylvania, if somebody was like, yeah, I'm trying to get to State College, I would expect them to take 76 out to Harrisburg and then turn on to take the exits, get onto 322, and head up north. If their body was found just on a diagonal line between here and State College, I'd be like, oh, they tried to take a shortcut.
Yeah.
This is Nebraska. This is Western Nebraska. There's no, this is the straight diagonal line highway is the fastest way to Torrington.
Yeah.
It's also 2019 and Uber exists. Buses exist.
Also, as we potentially learned, he was in the direction of Torrington after leaving the gas station.
Yeah. Yeah, if he was at the Sinclair gas station, the highway's right there. There's bus terminals. There are a lot of ways he could have gotten to Torrington. None of them involve going up the top of Scotts Bluff and then falling off of it.
So what you just said brought up two questions for me. One of them is, as far as you know, has there been any attempt to kind of like line search the area to look for a wallet or belt buckle that may have come off during the...
It would be really difficult to do that because, again, it's a cliff.
Well,
like,
no, but where he fell to, have they?
Yeah, from what I understand, they searched the area. They just couldn't find him.
And it doesn't strike them as weird that they can't find a wallet and belt buckle by the body.
No, they must have just fallen off during the fall.
How near is the closest road to where he met? Assume it's...
Are we talking about an actual road?
Any form of surface that is easily walkable and or drivable that would have allowed him to get to a point where, if this were self-inflicted, he could then veer off momentarily and hop down.
100 yards.
Okay, so there is something close.
Yeah, there's the trail at the top of the bluff. But where he was found, there aren't trails.
Right, that's at the bottom.
He would have, all the trails on the bluff, with the exception of like a couple of spots that aren't near where he was found, are on the south side.
My only...
So in order for him to be, he would have had to have left the trail.
My thinking is like, hypothetically, if it was self-inflicted, could he have walked himself up there and or...
Oh, no. If they're going to argue it's self-inflicted, absolutely possible.
Well, my other argument would be if somebody train stationed him.
That's where are there cameras at the entrance to the national park comes in. Yeah. And that's what I mentioned at the end of the video is like, that is currently for me where this sort of hinges of whether it's self-inflicted or not. And how he got up there. Because if there are no cameras, there's a lot of possibilities. If there's no cameras, it's possible he walked up there. It's possible somebody drove him up there. If there are cameras, there's a lot more questions to ask.
Well,
or alternatively, here's the other thing. And this is why I mentioned that she did not report it until the next morning. If somebody did something to him and they killed him that night, and then the next morning, sometime between 8 and 11, somebody else drove up there with him in the back of the car and then threw him off the cliff, it would be really hard to track that down. I mean, you'd have to have the footage from that day. You'd have to catalog every single car, and then you'd have to figure out if any of those cars were owned or operated by somebody who knew Bailey.
My instinct is that there probably aren't cameras, or at least there weren't at the time.
So here's my thinking is it's a turnoff right off of the road, and there is a national park station right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Valley Forge.
Got it.
So there is a parking lot, there is a gate.
Yeah, so that's that's kind of where I'm going with my rationale is because I've worked adjacent to search and rescue before. Mm-hmm. My rationale is I find this body. Mm-hmm. No wallet, no belt buckle, and he's fallen 200 feet. Mm-hmm. My thought number one is, all right, well, I'm going to line search as much of this area as I can to see, if it did fall off in flight, where did it land? If I can't find it anywhere, my thought B is, okay, so he doesn't, why wouldn't he have those? Well, if someone took them. Okay, so then I'm going to go to the cameras and figure out, all right, who robbed even if it's not foul play with the death, who robbed this guy?
Yeah. And of course, here's the other thing. It is very possible that he died somehow and they hid his body somewhere, whoever did it, for weeks.
Yeah.
And then threw it over, which is where, again, and I probably should have mentioned this in the video. I'm mad at myself now that I didn't. But, if something did happen to him that night and he was killed,
Yeah.
based on the remains, there would be no way to tell how he died.
Yeah.
I mean, if they could have strangled him, they could have stabbed him, they could have shot him. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can kill somebody without leaving marks on the bones.
Yeah. The second question that one tangent brought up was we talked about that one. That was the weird thing. That was the other weird thing that we didn't mention to you, Thornbury. There at one point, Bailey said, he always told me that if something happened to him, I could find him at, what was the site?
Cheyenne River. It
At
was
the Cheyenne River. If something happened,
there were a couple of spots on his parents' property that she allegedly told him that if something happened, they could find him there.
Right, which is a very weird thing to say, and kind of
Part of me does wonder if that was her figuring out if she could leave the body there.
Yeah. But then
I was just using Google Maps.
But I don't think I don't think she's smart enough for that.
That was interpreted as suicidal tendencies. They clearly seem to think he may have just jumped off this cliff. Was there any
No, they think he fell off the cliff by accident.
Okay, so fair, but
That again, a lot of this story can be explained if you tell me that he killed himself.
But that was my question: was there any indication that he would have killed himself?
No.
Here's the thing. This is not a suggestion. This is, if I was writing this story as a thriller,
Yeah.
the way I would have the final reversal before the climax of the film, it would be a flashback to that night where the grandfather finds him at the gas station. They have the argument. He says, I'm going to walk home. Like, I'm cool now. I just want to walk back. Things will be fine. The grandfather leaves. He starts walking home. Grandfather gets him up, kind of is riling himself up in the car, thinking about all of the things that he's been hearing, he's been seeing, have been happening, and he makes a decision. And he pulls the car around, pulls it up next to Chance, and says, hey, why don't, you know what? Just let me give you a ride home. Chance gets in the car. They start driving, and he says, you know what? Why don't we chat for a bit? And they drive up to the bluff, and he walks out, and he's like, you know what? It's a relaxing spot. Like, I think we should just kind of like have a conversation man to man. And then there is where, like, they walk out. He's like, I know things have been tough between you and Bailey, XYZ. And then when he gets an opportunity, boot to the back off the cliff. That's where, as a writer, where I would go with this.
But if you're the victim, at some point, it occurs to you that this is a really weird thing that's happening.
That's the thing is it might, or especially if you're desperate, especially if you're in a really contentious position and you might still be a little tipsy. You might just be in a point where it's like, this is the break I was hoping with this family.
And he's desperate enough that he's willing to potentially walk back to Moorcroft. Like, that's the level of desperation that he's at in terms of dealing with these in-laws.
This might be the olive branch he was looking for, and it might have been the hand of the devil that he shook. And it's like, again, this is not my theory about the crime. This is, if I was writing this as a story, that's how I would write it.
Right. We should talk about
if that happened to me, I would be like, you got to tell me where we're going and why we're going here. Like, I don't like this. Let's just go back. Let's go to the bar. Let's go talk about this anywhere but a cliff.
Yeah, and like in my mind, it would be like he would be like, I used to come up here sometimes when I just needed a place to think, and I know you like your walks, so like maybe this will be like a peaceful thing for you. Yeah. And he's just chatting with him like, I know things have been tough with you and Bailey, and I appreciate what you've done for her, things like that. You're saying all the things to kind of keep things at bay. And then you get out there, you bring it to the cliff, you have a little 5-minute conversation, put him at ease, like, look, I know you're a good guy. I know this isn't like I know this isn't the life that you chose. I know you're really like, you're trying to make it work. I know job's tough right now, like, but things will get better. And then, switch, done, gone.
would work in a movie. Again, I would not, if I were him, I would not walk up to the cliff.
Yeah.
You hold a gun to my back, I might walk up to the cliff.
That's the thing. Well, and I don't know if this guy is an owner, but by the time you get up to the bluff,
Yeah.
that might be what
Well,
changed.
and the grandfather was fit enough that it might not be because you talked about during the video of like, oh well, if Bailey had pulled a gun on him, he'd probably just and fight the gun out of her hands.
Yeah.
If this is this
true.
tough
And at the
jack
same
kind
time,
of guy,
if the other
I don't know if this is maternal or paternal grandfather, but if he's anything like her dad, it's a big dude.
yeah.
so
Like Chance's dad is probably like 5'11", pretty good shape. Scott is like 6'3".
We should talk about the truck with the boat. We haven't gotten to that.
Oh yeah. Well, so here's the thing. Gonna be honest, I don't see how it's connected.
Yeah, that was kind of my. I kept expecting you. So this is another person who says that they were a witness on the night, and it was this woman who's because there's two witnesses to the truck, right? There's one of them's a woman having a smoke on her front.
Technically, there might be three.
Yes, there's a woman having a smoke on her front porch. These two, it's raining. These two girls, jean shorts and whatever, are running down the road, seemingly trying to get a ride, hiding under an overpass. She tells her boyfriend, "Hey, can you go like see what's wrong and try to help him?" And the you'll have to help me out with the spatial, the geographical.
Basically, there's a set of train tracks right here. This is the road that leads into town. North Platte River's here. Woman is sitting on her back porch here. She sees a couple of girls run down from the train tracks here. They try to stop a car. They fail to stop a car. She tells them, like, she sees all this. She sees them run north under the bridge. It's pouring rain. If you're just trying to get out of the rain, you'd stay under the bridge. She grabs her boyfriend and says, "Hey, these two girls look like they need help. Can you go help them?" He hops in his car, drives out, drives down, gets onto the road, catches up with them at, based on the way the story is told, and I have qualms about this. I have questions, and I'd like to ask Ryan about them. Says that he catches up with them on the other side of the bridge. They're not under it. Outside of a used auto dealer, which is no longer there. And that as he's pulling up to ask if they need help, another pickup pulls up. They seem to know the driver. This pickup is a white extended cab pickup with a trailer that has a small metal boat on it, a power boat. They run around to the passenger side of that truck. They talk to the guy. They hop into the truck, and the truck drives off. And again, the spatial thing that gets me here is that Ryan Couch says that it went north and did a U-turn, but then he says, or it might have just driven off like of Stable Club and south towards Owl Road. The problem is that Stable Club goes like this, Owl goes like this. So in order for them to have been driving off and then coming south towards Owl Road, they would have had to make a U-turn. So I'm curious about where he's going with that. Anyway, the important part is that a few minutes later, according to another witness, she was sitting at Stable Club Road at the intersection with Five Rocks, looking across at Owl Road, and there was a pickup and one or two cars sitting about 100 feet off the road into the field, north of Owl Road. And that the pickup had its headlights on and its taillights on, and there was a car parked right behind it that only had its taillights on. Which
may have
sounds
just been the
like it
trailer
could be
with
the
the
pickup
boat,
with the
yeah.
trailer.
Yeah.
And that she just, because it was pouring rain, mistook the boat for the boat for a car. The question is, what the fuck does that have to do with anything?
Well, so
I was going to say, I was trying to figure out where this
that
was
was
going.
why I turned to you about the geography, because where's this in relation to anything that Chance does that night?
It would be due south of the Sinclair gas station.
So not where he. So is he trying to say that these girls may have been involved, and then this was their like getaway ride?
Well, it sounds like it would essentially be like if there is a potential that if Chance was there at that time, they would have seen him.
One of the girls?
I think Ryan's implication might be that car hit Chance.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
And then it might have been an accident. So
I thought
also a possibility. I guess
It is. I'm confused. I need to ask Ryan about I'd like to ask him some specific questions and clarify what he's saying Chance's route was that night. Because based on what he said, I'm having trouble wrapping my head around it.
I actually thought when you did this during the video, I thought you were going the direction of he's implying one of the girls is Bailey, who was out killing him.
That was also possible.
And then, so...
he didn't say anything... Yeah, he was, I think, deliberately ambiguous about that because he is a former cop.
Yeah.
So, and you can... Yeah,
he doesn't want to get sued for defamation or something by implying
so,
too heavily that it's her. It strikes me as that may have just been completely unrelated.
My opinion, having read and listened to what he said about it repeatedly, it seems likely that is unrelated. The frustrating part is that he gave the names of all of these witnesses to this weird event to the cops, and the cops didn't follow up.
But again, if I'm the cops and I hear about these random witnesses have nothing to do with the case, why would I go?
Because again, it happened in the general vicinity, and it was weird behavior. And
when you say general vicinity, you say due south of Sinclair. Sinclair, he's going this way southeast.
Here's the thing: he might have. There are two ways to get back to where he was going from the Sinclair gas station. One is to follow one of the roads through town southeast. The other is to take 5 Rocks Road due south, turn onto Stable Club. So he may have gone through that intersection. His route could have involved him going south on 5 Rocks Road.
If he didn't want to go right along the highway.
So then, you definitely call those witnesses then.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, when did he get this information to the cops?
Within, I think, a year.
Okay, because the only thing there is, this alludes to my question earlier, is between when he went missing and when his body was found, was there any official change from it being a missing persons case to a criminal investigation? Because that changes a lot.
It doesn't seem like they said that they were moving into an investigation phase, basically. Whether that means criminal or not, within a week.
Okay.
Which is normal. There's not a ton of clarity on whether or not that meant they thought that it was homicide. Mm-hmm. Or if they were just no longer looking at it as this is he got lost.
Yeah, but situation. They did officially say we are investigating.
Yes, they said that they're going to be interviewing people and
that's the thing,
collecting security camera footage and all of that. Yeah.
If they had never said that, a lot of these lapses in judgment and decision-making could have been somewhat excused.
They definitely did begin treating it as an investigation, not just a missing persons case of somebody who wandered off and got lost and fell in the river.
Yeah.
But it seems like after Captain Rogers was no longer on the case as a lead, that they started to look at it as... basically tried to explain it as he fell into the river sort of thing.
Got it.
Would the Bewleys lawyering up out of nowhere have been an indication that, maybe we should start investigating this a little? That's a little weird.
Here's the thing. If I'm the cops, there's two things here. People lawyering up should never be the sole reason that you consider them suspects.
Of course, no, yeah.
If people lawyer up, you should consider them suspects.
Yeah.
At least... for a second.
Because again, if it's not a criminal...
Again, I want to be clear. Lawyering up is not a sign of guilt. However, it should at the very least draw you as the investigating officer to go,
Especially because it's not a criminal investigation officially.
Yes.
Why are you lawyering up to defend yourself from an investigation that's not happening?
Here's the thing. With the variety of different ways in which people who were innocent were then made to be guilty because there were police offices, not just offices, who prioritized closed cases over proper convictions.
Yeah.
I fully back anybody who has to talk to the cops, calling a lawyer and making sure that they do not incriminate themselves when they are innocent, because that happens way too often and people do not talk about it enough.
Yep.
I love law enforcement. I think they do a great job.
But if you, as the police, have not started investigating people and those people suddenly lawyer up, that should be, as the investigating agency, a red flag.
That should be baseline due diligence.
That doesn't mean they did it.
Right. It's just like, that's weird.
But it's worth going, what's that about?
That's the thing, is even if you're not getting a weird thing, just basic due diligence should say, if somebody's lawyering up, it means that they consider themselves involved in this enough to be concerned about being implicated, even if they're innocent.
Yeah. And now here's the thing.
They should be talked to.
The cops have not said much about what happened here. It could be that they went to the Bewleys and said, hey, we're moving this into being a criminal investigation. We'd like to ask you some questions. If the Buleys then lawyer up,
That makes sense.
that makes sense. You don't want to accidentally say something and incriminate yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
If the police did not approach them and say, hey, this is now an investigation, and the Buleys lawyered up anyway, if I'm the investigating agency, I'm going,
Yeah.
Wonder why.
yeah. As a jury, never consider lawyering up a sign of guilt.
Right.
As the general public, never consider lawyering up alone as a sign of guilt. If you're law enforcement, and you've given these people no reason to lawyer up, and they do, it's worth asking some questions. It's not, you shouldn't consider them guilty. You shouldn't assume that they're guilty. But you should say, you know what, we should probably rule them out.
Well, because that's the thing is, if I'm with my brother and his wife, that night my sister-in-law goes missing. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the cops are going to talk to me to be like, all right, well, walk us through what happened. As a loved one, I'm gonna be updated on what's going on with the investigation. At no point in that am I gonna be like, I need a criminal defense attorney, because I'm like, well, I
The older I get, the more I see. The more I have seen from investigations and interviews and interrogations, I'm borderline at a point where I want to start finding a lawyer for any circumstance.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if the cops were like trying to talk to me about something that was an investigation, I would get a lawyer immediately.
Yes.
Whether I think I did it or not.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that I would expect the cops to then go, why'd he get a lawyer?
Yeah. The reason for clarification that I think is important here is the existence of a lawyer when you are being questioned by police officers is not because you think that they might make you guilty, even though that is a concern. It's that officers and lawyers function within the law.
right.
I, as a civilian, do not know the law well enough to understand the actual importance and implications of the questions I'm being asked.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And so I don't know if I'm in the chair and I think I'm being helpful to an investigation. I don't have enough knowledge about the law to know when I am being conned into making myself seem guilty
Oh, sure.
of a
okay.
crime I didn't commit.
You'll note that in the video we put up, in the video essay, I never mention them lawyering up in a vacuum.
Right.
I say, they did this, 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 they lawyered up, they did this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
Lawyering up is always in there as like, it's the timing of when they lawyered up that's suspicious.
Yes.
It's the fact that they didn't tell the Engleberts they were getting a lawyer that's suspicious. It's the fact that Bailey suggested that Chance killed himself. Tracy stopped talking to Dawn. Dawn mentioned that they were getting a private investigator, and then they lawyered up.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, that's why I'm a little... There's just too much... There's too many things.
Well,
It's
you know,
another
that's-
one of those
yeah.
cases where it's like, if it were one of these things in a vacuum, if it was during the press conference, Bailey looked like she was distraught and she wasn't wearing a wedding ring, she forgot to put her wedding ring on that day because she's distraught. Bailey is smiling, has to be prompted to describe the shirt her husband was wearing, and the most she can come up with in a moment where the reporters are literally going, why should we be sympathetic? The most she can come up with is, he's very responsible. Not, he's a very responsible father. Not, he's a very caring husband. Just, he's a very responsible guy who takes care of his responsibilities.
And there are two things to be said about that. One, it's understandable if you're in a position where you just might have lost your husband, you're going to be, on edge and not know what to say and things like that. But at the same time, you wouldn't necessarily be in a position where you feel you need to be performative and have a weird kind of answer like that.
That's the thing is, I would have expected deadpan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have expected if it was just purely the entire time she just looked lost or like upset.
Yeah.
It's the fact that at the beginning, she walks up on that in front of everybody. She's the only one smiling. And she's smiling as she introduces herself and the baby. And then when she's asked about her husband, deadpan. Disinterested. body language is an art, not a science. I don't think there are many body language experts who would watch that press conference and go, that's an anxious wife.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
That's someone grieving.
Yeah. I do not know. Personally, I think it's extremely unlikely that Bailey herself did anything to Chance that night. I do think she knows what happened to him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's the other thing. I don't know that I'd want her prosecuted because then Banks grows up without any parents. So,
Which could be a motivating factor in how the cops handled the investigation.
it could be. What I want to know more than anything is, were these cops apathetic, incompetent, or malicious in how they handled the case when it comes to Chance? I don't think... I mean, this is one of the few cases where I'll say, I know that wasn't an accident. I know he didn't accidentally fall off that cliff because he didn't accidentally hike up a 300-foot bluff in the rain in cowboy boots when he wasn't going that direction.
That's the other thing about his body maybe
Him getting there can't have been an accident.
Well, the other thing about him post-mortem being dumped off of it is that that terrain, you're talking about somebody dragging a dead weight body up that?
That's why I think, and here's the thing, and again, I wish I had said this in the video because now it's driving me a little nuts that I didn't clarify it, and this is why I need my Dr. House team, is that I can talk these things through because
we're still here. We
are still here. We could shoot it, but I just don't have a way to work it in.
Fair.
So, and I think I left it in a good spot.
Yeah.
So, but this is why I think, and that's why we have this show too, is so that I can say these things in a way that I can't format it into the video essays. I think that most likely what you have is, if his body was dumped there, it was not necessarily that same day. And that they didn't drag his dead weight body up there in the rain, that somebody did something, they killed him, maybe accidentally, maybe he got in a fight, maybe it was, her brother-in-law or a family friend or something, went and tried to talk to him, it turned into a fight, somebody punched him, he fell down, hit his head on a curb.
Yeah.
Like, something that simple. And then that his body was dumped later. That seems to be, I think, the most likely outcome, looking at all of the facts, is that something happened to him, whether deliberate or accidental. And, maybe the police know that. Maybe that's why they say they don't think that his death was anything other than accidental. Manslaughter's accidental, guys.
Yeah.
Maybe the fight happened, he hit his head, and then somebody hid the body for a little bit, decided to drive up there on a day that nobody would be looking. It's hard to... They definitely could not have brought him out there via car all the way to where he was found. But if you're a strapping young or old man, if you're strong enough, you can carry a dead body the distance they would have had to carry a dead body and then throw it off.
You should ask, if we get him on here, you should ask Ryan Couch if he did a FOIA request for any cameras or other surveillance at the park.
I believe he did, but they said no.
Okay. Do you believe that no?
What do you mean?
Do you believe that there's actually nothing?
No, I believe that they said no. Like, you can't have that information.
Oh, not that there is no surveillance. Yeah. It's just that, no, we're not going to give it.
I will tell you this. David Paulides has given us one good piece of information, and it's that the National Park Service is a little hesitant to hand out information on deaths in the parks, especially if there's any possibility that they're part of a criminal investigation.
Well, even with the way
they use exception like 7B.
What is 7B?
If I might have the wrong letter. I think it was 7B. Which is that it's part of an active criminal investigation, which is what they used to deny the Stacey Aris files.
They just even weird behavior like on the Jacob Gray when the dad was like, "Yeah, I've got private search and rescue teams that are their helicopters running," and they're
We
like,
need to bring that up again because
No.
his uncle reached out to me.
"Oh, yeah." So
And somebody else just reached out to me who was one of the people who found him. And I haven't responded to that email yet, but I need to do that.
yeah, it's just like, "Oh yeah, the helicopter's running. Like, just give us
Yeah.
the thumbs up and we'll do it." And they're like, "No, you can't search for. Why would we let you search for your kid?" Like,
Yeah,
like,
that
it
was weird.
This, like,
That was a weird case.
My guess is most of the things like that, including the rejecting FOIA requests and active investigation burials and things like that, is because having a lot of active investigations in national parks that require people to show up and use the parks would probably dissuade people from using the parks.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about that a lot next week after I do the Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon one because Okay, first of all, the two experts that Daily Beast called in are morons. I don't care, Kathy Reich, that you're a doctor and a forensic anthropologist and a best-selling author. You're a dumbass.
Okay.
What the fuck do you mean? They found these women's bodies or their body parts scattered around, and then they found their backpack, their nylon like sport backpack, sitting just up on a log with cell phones and cameras inside of it that were not waterlogged, that were perfectly functional, and you concluded that these two girls drowned with the backpack on and that their bodies were broken up into little fragmented pieces by the river.
That's my grandpa.
But the camera was fine. Their bodies, their bones are literally broken, smashed into pieces. But the camera's fine. And you call that an accident? And then a year later, when more evidence comes forward and, suddenly it looks like it might not have been an accident because they were covering things up, suddenly you think it was a murder? You're a dumbass. You two, Carl Weiss or whatever the fuck your name is.
Either that or she was told to not.
No, it definitely wasn't that. It was that she's just stupid.
Really?
Oh my... Again, I'm not kidding when I tell you the evidence they had.
Mm-hmm.
And the Daily Beast, according to them, they have all these leaked police documents. The only evidence you need is the fact that these girls' bodies were smashed into pieces. It had been 2 months. 0 flesh. 0. In an area with no large predators.
Okay, that was going to be my question. It was like, well, I mean, scavenging is one thing, but...
They literally concluded that this river, in 2 months, broke these girls' bones, after stripping all of the flesh from them, broke these girls' bones into teeny tiny pieces.
While remaining in the same spot?
No, they went downriver. They were found along the river. Broke their bones into teeny tiny pieces, but the camera was fine.
Wait.
By the way, they fell into the river. This is the story.
Yeah.
Because the backpack is not found where the first bone fragments are. It's found downstream of the first bone fragments, right?
Okay.
So supposedly they went into the river here.
Mm-hmm.
Bone fragments here. Bone fragments kind of down the way.
Yeah.
Backpack.
Mm-hmm.
Dry. Bones shattered into pieces. Camera. Fully intact.
Any chance?
Everything in the river. Camera. Fully intact. Not waterlogged. They were able to get all of the data off it. It was a working camera.
What else was in the bag?
The working camera spent 2 months, supposedly, in the Panamanian jungle. It was in perfect condition.
What else was in the bag?
Cell phones, a couple of bras.
Like sleeping bag, sleeping mat?
No, they were out for a day hike.
Oh, so
This was not a camping backpack.
Well, the reason I asked is because, like, is there decent potential based on the construction of the bag that
This is the kind of... No, it would have sank.
Okay.
That's the funny part. When these experts were brought back in to review the new evidence, they agreed that a bag like that would have been waterlogged immediately upon falling into the river. Within minutes. Would have been soaked through. This is the kind of bag that you and I would have worn going to sports practice in high school.
Yeah.
You know, the drawstring nylon bags?
Yeah.
Oh, it's one of those? It wasn't even like a legit backpack?
I believe it wasn't quite that flimsy, but like we're talking about like a JanSport backpack.
And like it wasn't waterproof or anything.
No, this
like,
is not a waterproof backpack. It's not a hiking backpack. This is a day pack.
And it didn't have like a sleeping mat that could have been
Nope.
a flotation device of
Nope.
some kind. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, it definitively was never in the river. In fact, it seems like it was never exposed to the elements.
How
And the experts say that, no, this is probably an accident. They probably just fell into the river.
how intense are the rapids in that area of the river?
Well, apparently intense enough to break femurs into little itty bitty pieces.
Have you seen any images or video of the section of the river?
Yes.
What's it look like?
It's pretty rocky. Looks a lot like St. Pete's.
Okay.
So the problem is not that the river could not have broken things.
Yeah.
Now, in just 2 months, the fact that it would break the remains into the state they were found is something that all of the Panamanian forensics experts called bullshit.
Yeah.
They were like, no way did that river do that to those bones.
Yeah.
The thing is, even if the river did do that to the bones, the camera was fully intact.
Yeah.
You don't get bones shattered into pieces by the same river that leaves a camera fully intact.
Yeah.
And this wasn't like a heavy duty, the kind of camera they're bringing up Mount Everest.
Yeah.
This was, I think, like a little like Canon or Nikon, like low end digital camera.
Like DSLR types. Thing.
Yeah. This is the kind of stuff that like, it goes for like $600.
Yeah. Oh, so it was one of the.
It's a hobbyist camera.
Yeah.
They were not professional photographers. This was a hobbyist camera.
Probably just like a digital zoom camera. Yeah.
Just definitively, there is zero possibility looking at those two basic facts: bones smashed to pieces, camera not. Zero possibility that both of those items were in the river.
Yeah.
And yet the backpack is found downstream of the first remains.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Perfectly dry.
next time we'll probably be discussing that.
Yep.
If not, then soon. But yeah, we got to wrap up here. 'Cause
Yeah.
we've been going for an hour and 40.
Oh, God, yeah, I need to go home.
Yep, same.
All right. See ya, my lodges.